Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Don K. Preston. I'm the president of Preterist Research Institute of Ardmore, Oklahoma. And this is what I call my morning musings as I share with you a little bit of cup of coffee. It's cold and rainy outside here in Ardmore, Oklahoma. We need the rain. But it's always great to be with you. And I'm sharing with you some thoughts from the book of Revelation, thoughts that helped me transition, forced me to transition from the amillennial view of eschatology to the full preterist view. And I was sitting here this morning looking at the Greek text of Revelation 1:7. I've already shared with you a few thoughts from the verse, but you know, this verse is just so powerful. It says, "Behold, he comes with the clouds, and every eye shall see him, and they also which pierced him." Well, the word "also" is not in the text, and as many Greek authorities render this, they render it like this: "Behold, he comes with the clouds, and every eye shall see him, even those who pierced him." They render this this conjunction, or this particle here, as what's known as epexegetical. In other words, the eyes that would see him are those who pierced him. Now, this is just incredible. You know, so many people approach Revelation with a presuppositional idea that it was written in the 90s, that it has to do with either Rome, the Roman Catholic Church, or the end of time. And they never even consider, they almost refuse to consider, that it had to have been written within a context and framework that was eminent to John, because, I mean, after all, he says over and over and over and over, these things must shortly come to pass. But they ignore that. They argue it away. And Revelation 1 verse 7 is a classic example of how it's the language, the actual text is ignored. You see, it's approached like this. Well, John says every eye will see him. That must mean every eye of every person who has ever lived or who ever will live on the face of the earth. But you see, if we accept the language, the focus is very clearly on those who pierced him. Somebody says, well, yeah, at the end of time, you know, the Jews are going to be judged. Wait a minute. Wait just a moment. Jesus said that the first century Jews were going to kill him. And he said they would be judged for doing that in his generation. Matthew 23. Furthermore, when the Jews had Jesus on trial in front of Pilate, 3 times Pilate said, "I find no fault with this man." And finally, in exasperation and in desperation, the Jews cried out, "Let his blood be on us and on our children." Now, that's really a temporal time statement when properly considered in the context of Scripture. The Jews weren't saying, well, you know, if we're wrong, let God judge us one of these days down at the end of time. No. Us and on our children is a one-generational period of time. So what do we find in Revelation? Here we find in Revelation, John writes, that the coming of the Lord on the clouds of heaven would be witnessed by those who killed him. And then, in chapter 11, verse 8, we find the judgment of the city, quote, where the Lord was slain, unquote. So agreeing perfectly with Matthew 27:25, "Let his blood be on us and on our children," John writes of things which must shortly come to pass. He writes of the coming of the Lord on the clouds of heaven, i.e. in judgment, and says those who pierced him would look upon him and mourn. Well, they'd mourn because judgment was coming. And that city, that judgment, is specifically identified as the judgment of the city where the Lord was slain. Boy, this is powerful stuff. Really, really powerful stuff. But there's more. Right here in Revelation 1 verse 7. I'll share some of that with you on the flip side. Thanks for joining me for this morning's morning musings. We'll see you in tomorrow's show.